Jorge Ahumada's first job growing up in Mendoza, Argentina, was that of a lumberjack. With axe in hand, he chopped down trees and cut apart logs. Years later, he would be in the boxing ring, chopping down his opponents, becoming the lumberjack of the light heavyweight division. He was the ninth of 10 children, and his father worked as a manual laborer for the city. He had 8 sisters and had to take 2 jobs after graduating from elementary school. His first job was chopping wood in a sawmill, and his second job was working as a dishwasher at a government house. But as a teenager, Ahumada would get involved in a street fight, which resulted in a broken nose for the hard-working young man. Needing to learn some self-defense, his uncle advised him to head to the local boxing gym to get some pointers. And within a month, Ahumada had his first amateur fight, scoring a second-round knockout. By the age of 21, he would be representing Argentina in international tournaments. He then left the local gym to train at the Macaroa Boxing Club, home of junior welterweight champion Nicolino Loche. But Ahumada's straight-ahead style was nothing like Loche's defensive genius. Ahumada was a pure slugger and drew criticism from those who expected him to fight like Loche. There was only one Loche, Ahumada said. No one can duplicate him. It's best to be yourself. He would turn professional, and after defeating Argentina's best, including Avenemar Peralta and Juan Aguilar, he would meet his career nemesis in countryman Victor Galindez. Ahumada would be stopped by Galindez in 5 rounds in their first meeting, but in a rematch he would take a 10-round decision. A third bout would follow, with Galindez stopping Ahumada in 9 rounds of a slugfest, and 3 months later, Galindez would end matters with a left hook in the 6th round. Ahumada seemed destined to be a fighter that would remain in Argentina, limited to fighting only his fellow countrymen, until his brother-in-law convinced him to come to the United States. After much deliberation, Ahumada decided to move his family to New York. A friend of a friend set him up with manager Gil Clancy, who saw Ahumada as an amateur and was willing to take a chance on the slugger from Argentina. But Clancy would find out that while Ahumada was a decent worker, he didn't have a determined Spartan's mindset and didn't always push himself in the gym. "I don't enjoy getting hit," Ahumada said. "I'm a worker, but not a fanatic. I don't want to die in the ring." But Ahumada began working his way up the rankings. He beat contenders like Hal Carroll, Ray Anderson, and Jose Gonzalez. Now trained by Chino Gobin, a Cuban expatriate who served as the Spanish-speaking liaison between Ahumada and Gil Clancy, Ahumada would go on a 9-fight win streak once he set foot in New York. The victories earned Ahumada a title shot. In June of 1974, light heavyweight champion Bob Foster would put his crown on the line against Ahumada. Foster was past his best at age 35, but had been champion for over 6 years. A crowd of over 11,000 people showed up to cheer on the local Albuquerque hero in Foster, who also worked as a sheriff's deputy. But Ahumada ignored the crowd's cheers, forcing his way inside Foster's guard with left hooks, trying to chop down the champion's body like an old tree. Foster's jab held him at bay, bloodying his nose until the 10th round when Ahumada landed a low blow. Foster got over a minute to recuperate, and the referee deducted a point from the challenger. In the next round, Foster returned the favor. and received little more than a warning from the referee. Ultimately, the point deduction cost Ahumada the upset decision, as Foster would retain the title on a draw. Gil Clancy said that the Deputy Sheriff Foster should have arrested 2 of the 3 judges. 4 months later, Ahumada would take on John Conte for the now vacant WBC light heavyweight title. Younger and fresher than Foster, Conte was a budding superstar in Britain and would have a boisterous crowd rooting for him at the Empire Pool in Wembley. But Ahumada fought defiantly, now used to having hometown crowds cheering against him.
Is going to provide another win like that one. Ahumada getting through with the left hooks, and for a moment Conte looks slightly disturbed and lashes out. Durability and strength of the Argentinian. He was winning round after round at the start of the fight, making all. There's a tigerishness about Conte written all over him that says, I want that world title and I'm going to get it. Just gave him trouble with Foster. Foster shut it. He's in trouble again and Conte follows up. The 6th round beginning to swing Conte's way. And a world title is coming close to home if this keeps up. Some of the hardest exchanges of the whole fight in this round. And neither man really dominating the other. Hardly an inch given either way. What a hard round that was. Again, nothing much between them.
It took Conte's late round surge to seal the victory. The loss forced Clancy to make changes in Ahumada's style. He knew Ahumada would come in on a straight line and move back in a straight line. On making adjustments, Ahumada would face longtime nemesis Victor Galindez in his 3rd try for the light heavyweight title. Still, the 2 went at it like they always did. Galindez's hammer against Ahumada's axe. But Ahumada was ultimately outgunned and Galindez took the decision, proving once again that he was Ahumada's superior.
and still light heavyweight champion of the world,
Victor Galindez is the winner and still light heavyweight champion of the world, and there he is being carried around the ring.
5 months later, Ahumada would fight and lose against Ray Anderson before calling it quits for his boxing career. Ironically, his nickname was Aconcagua, named for the highest mountain peak in the Americas, but while Ahumada came close, he couldn't quite reach the highest elevation in the sport.